Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, it's Gummy, and yeah, so, in this video we're going to be doing a review on Dune 2. So, I got to watch this movie on IMAX, and before I start this review, please go watch it on IMAX. The big screen and the audio just makes it so worth it, so please watch it on IMAX. Do some research on your local IMAX, because every IMAX isn't equal. They don't give you the same experience. Now, I understand there's a 70mm, but even on the regular ones, the size, there's a difference. So the one I go to is a 42 by 70 feet. Now, that's pretty big, but the one that is close to me that is a 70mm experience is a 51 by 71. So, I mean, yeah, mine's is, I guess, considered LIMAX, but, like, not by much. So, yeah, but there's other theaters, other IMAX theaters that are smaller than that. There's one that is for 34 by 61, 32 by 60, 29 by 54, 28 by 50, 27 by 50. It gets shorter and shorter, and I'm like, what? So yeah, do your research on your local IMAX. Check this site called LF Examiner. They'll tell you in which state you put the size of those IMAXs. So yeah, before I watched Dune 2, I watched Dune 1 again. Now, before I watched it, I remember not enjoying it as much. My opinion was, it's not bad, it's very slow, and it felt like the entire movie was just a setup for the second movie, without it being an enjoyable movie. So yeah, I watched it again, and I completely disagree with what I said in the past. I had no idea why I felt that way. I loved it, and I was very excited for this second movie. So yeah, the second movie. It's gotta be one of the best sci-fi movies that is out there. Watching that movie made me think, like, is this the same feeling that the people that watched Star Wars the first time felt? You know, I'm talking about in the 70s, the first one. Because this felt so different. It felt so new, unique. It's a fresh air on sci-fi, you know? A lot of sci-fi, you know, like futuristic movies, you know, they felt like they're, you know, ripping off from Star Wars. But this one, since Star Wars ripped off from Dune, this felt different. The aesthetics of this movie is also unique. You know, Star Wars, it has its own style. You know, what I love about Star Wars is they still keep the style, you know, like the 70s futuristics vibes. But this one, Dune 2, it captures the same aesthetics as the ancient times, you know, like before guns were made, when battles were fought with swords. Now, it's pretty funny, because in the movie they do have guns, but they prefer swords. Alright, so the director's name, I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably gonna mispronounce his name throughout the video, but I think his name is Denis Villeneuve. I remember before, everybody was talking about this is more of a visual type of movie, and I was a little bit concerned, because coming from me, I guess a novice Dune fan, I don't know too much about this. I haven't really looked up a lot of Dune stuffs, so I thought I was gonna be clueless when watching this movie. But to my surprise, they did a great job doing this. Denis Villeneuve, is an amazing world-building director. Things just happen, and maybe eventually they'll explain it, but as an audience, he makes it very entertaining to connect the dots. You know, movies like Blade Runner, Arrival, and Sicario, movies that he would probably describe as visual movies. So in this second movie, we get to see more Arrakis world building. We get to see how this world works, how people travel. You know, we get to see how the people live, the Freemans. The Freemans are basically, you know, Arabic and Muslim people, you know. It's funny how much they took, you know, those cultures and made this one. But I do love how serious they took to just make the world feel more immersive, you know? It wasn't just a few scenes of, oh, here's them praying, here's them speaking another language, and, you know, oh, talk about a story. That's it. This is throughout the movie, and I deeply appreciate it. Not just because, you know, it makes the story more immersive, but also diversity. Now, everybody talks about how, oh, this is a white savior movie. It's not, actually. I have no idea where people thought this was a white savior movie. Like, I thought, wow, David Delavigne, oh my god, I cannot pronounce. I thought this was his own spin on, oh, instead of making Paul look like the hero, make him to a villain. So throughout the movies, they heard that the prophecy would happen where a Messiah would come and lead the Freemen. So Paul thought, hey, that kind of fit in my story. Why don't I take the mantle and use these people to fight my wars? So yeah, it wasn't the director's idea to make this switch. That was a story all along. Like, the original creator had to make another book kind of explaining, like, guys, this is a gray world. There is no good guy or bad guy. Like, throughout the movie, Paul talks to his mom saying, yeah, I'm gonna use this Messiah thing to control these guys so I can use them as my warriors. Gurney says the same thing, like, hey, yo, these are great fighters. Like, wait a minute, you can control these guys and you can just say that you're the Messiah? Shit, use it. Just use it. You could take the entire empire with these guys. Do it, because this will avenge your father. The only Freeman group that criticized Paul is Chani. She's the only one that pointed out, like, you've been changing, you're taking this Messiah complex very seriously. Are you using us? So yeah, I wouldn't say this is a white savior movie. Instead, it is a criticization of it. Now, probably a lot of you guys are pretty young because, back then there was a lot of white savior type of movies, It's movies to make, no offense, to make white people feel better, like, oh yes, we're fighting for these people of colors. But another thing is also that Hollywood doesn't want to hire people of color of whatever, cultural movie they're making a movie on, like, and I'm talking about back then, but like right now they're doing better. Now, one of my complaints about the first movie is everybody's performance was a little bit dry, they were pretty dry or flat. But in this second movie, those allegations are gone. Each character is enjoyable to watch. Javier Bardem is funny as fuck. I was not expecting him to be the best part of the movie. Like how in the first movie, my favorite character was Duncan because he was the only one that was, who had emotions. Like, while everybody was just like serious and had a flat tone, Duncan was the only one that seemed like, the actor was having fun. Like, he was just a different character. He was in a different movie. It was as if he was in he thought he was in an Aquaman. So replacing his mantle is Javier Bardem. Like, bro, I was not expecting him to be so lively, so funny. All right, so Paul Atreides, Timothée Chalamet. I usually don't really like his style of acting. It's usually dry. It's never lively. Especially in the first movie, it was just like, I'm sad, or he feels like a teenage boy whenever he acts, like a teenage boy that is depressed. But in this one, he kind of stepped it up, like he's somewhat like that, because especially because now he's in this type of like different culture and different planet, and he's trying to fit in. But he gets better and better, and especially because now that he's going to be king, he has to like step up. He has to act more masculine. So, Austin Butler's character. I don't remember his name. He's one of the Harkin, family. But, he is so good in this movie. My God, man. This is just another, like, Joker type of performance where he just becomes the character. With the way he acts, the way he looks, and the way he sounds. Now, I do hope we see more of him because, even in this movie, we don't get to see a lot. We don't get to see a lot of the Harkins or anything else. Maybe until at least, like, the second half. Like, in the beginning is really focused on the Freemans and Paul's development. So, sadly, we don't get to see too much Harkins in this part. But even the scenes we do get, they're not as good, especially with Dave Bautista's character. He's just a basic villain, he just gets loud, he kills his own men, and also he leads his men to death without strategizing. So yeah, comparing to Austin Butler's character, he's just way more interesting and has more depth than Dave Bautista's character. So Christopher Walken's character, like I said, this movie was more focused on the Freemans and Paul. So there's not a lot of scenes with him, but the scenes we do get is actually pretty good. But I expect this is more of a setup for him in the third movie, which we'll probably see more of. So yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. Overall, this is an amazing movie. If you thought the first movie was slow and didn't give you enough, this movie, while maybe for some it's still slow, but man, does it give you way more about this world, this universe, and it's such an immersive experience, especially being on IMAX. So, yeah. Am I Dune pilled? is this the best sci-fi? I gotta say yes. You know, like, if it's comparing to Star Wars, to the films, for me, I gotta say yeah. You know, you guys gotta remember, Star Wars was made during the 70s. During the 70s, probably Star Wars was probably the most unique looking film of that time. But now, you know, with all the sci-fi stuffs that I've seen, Star Wars isn't the best, but I could see why people loved it. This one, Dune 2, is way more different than Star Wars. It's doing way more than Star Wars. Star Wars, my biggest criticism about it is they haven't been exploring and putting too much depth on the universe. Like, I would really want to see more on the Jedi and the Sith. What they've been showing is, Jedi is good and Sith is bad. That's it. We're not going to explore anything. But man, that Tales of the Jedi, the Count Dooku episodes, were so good. It shows, why would a Jedi become a Sith, you know? Just like in our world, the world is gray. It's never black and white, maybe in some situations. But, you know, good people can do bad things. And good people can become bad. Or maybe bad people are good in different perspectives, you know? Like, Disney doesn't want to make Star Wars complicated or political, you know? It's for kids. They don't want to confuse them. They just make it simple for them so they can absorb and watch, you know, without questioning the world. So yeah, after Dune 2, I've been Dune-pilled. The first movie was pretty good. It was just mostly setting up the story, and then Dune 2 is where the main course is. So all that setup that they did in the first one made it worth it. So, yeah. That's all I gotta say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me, TikTok, and Twitter, so you keep up to date with all my content, and, yeah, bye.